some relationships I broken off, and I'll just tell the guy, it's for your own good. It's for your it's really it sounds heartless, but it's more of like me saying, I don't want to hurt you. Because remember that mentality I had, like people are just getting into this relationship because they want to infect the other person. I don't have a heart to do that. The viewers, if I am to die, I don't want you to die because I infected you. So my name is Angeline Nyawinyo Nambi, and first and foremost, I'm a child and daughter of the Most High King. I am a mentor, and I also am the founder and managing director of Ambilighter. Our focus is basically to empower intentional, that's the word, intentional, sustainable development in our country, Kenya, as well as Africa, other African continents. Why I'm emphasizing on intentional is because most of the time we've had people doing sustainable development, but is it really sustainable? Is it at the benefit of the present as well as the future generation? It's more of like we build communities, we build Africa together with the people. I was born HIV positive, and I grew up in an orphanage of HIV positive children, and by that time, I think it is the first orphanage that was actually catering for HIV, and I was the firstborn of that orphanage. I grew there having the identity back then of I'm just an orphan. But now, life and its experiences and how God has moved in my life, it has made me see I'm not an orphan. I was not born an orphan. As much as my parents died, I'm not an orphan because I have a father who spoke me into existence even before I was conceived. So my mama was from Uganda, and she came to Kenya to seek refuge from family wrangles with the land and everything. She came to Kenya with my other siblings. I'm the only one who was born in Kenya, so I'm a mixture of a Kenyan father and my Ugandan mother. But don't ask me about my dad because I don't know anything about him. So my mama was the father and the mother. I have acquired in life through the journey, my mama passing on the struggles that we went through while she was also there, the struggles I went through in the orphanage as well, and the struggles also are like independent. Growing up is also a struggle. Every step, it has made me just find myself in a place where I want to see others better. I want to see the lives of other people. But let's say you call it mentorship, but more of me, what I call it is just I want to serve. That is basically what I can say. My passion is to just serve others and see how what God has enabled me through my whole life, in the challenges, in all that He's enabled me, He's brought me through, He has made me learn how I can share it with others so that they can be able also to grow themselves in one or the other. What I love doing in life and what I'm even doing at the moment is actually, I can say it's structured out of the experiences that I've gone through in life. And I find myself now loving to do them is because of the wounds and the pains that this life has offered me but as well as the good times that life has offered me. So I love mentoring others and just giving back, service in general, just service to people, because that reminds me that when I needed people to be there for me, there are those who weren't there for me, but there are also those who were there for me because God aligned them. In terms of like motivating others, there are those who demotivated me in life, but there are those who motivated me. So in all aspects of my life, either it's mentoring people, either it's building people, which I love, in terms of all aspects. If I can do it, I'll do it. Emotionally, financially, physically, whatever I can be able to do, I'll do it. I'll serve it. It's because now I realize my life is a gift, and it's also an opportunity to get to be able to lift another person. I was born in Kenya, but just to take you back a little bit, my mama, she was coming from Uganda, because she's Ugandan, and my siblings as well, my two brothers and sister, they were born in Uganda, right? But during the period while they were there was wrangles in terms of land. How I hear the story is that they wanted her land, and it was even at the point of endangering her life. So she was like, I'd rather take my kids and go to another country. I can't really tell the totality of how it happened because I wasn't there. I just was able to gather the stories later back in life. But that's how she found herself in Kenya. So in Kenya, she brought up her children well, and also this is where now I was born. So I'm a product of my Ugandan mom as well as a Kenyan father. But the Kenyan father, the Kenyan father was never in the picture, so to say, because I never got to meet him, and also my siblings don't have much to say, like it's because it's all I was told later on in life to know, like, your father is Kenyan, your father is Kenyan. So that's it. That's all I got. With that, my mama was very hardworking, very hospitable, with the little memories that I can remember of my mama. Very hospitable, very hardworking, very prayerful as well. So during her life, there was this church she used to go to and take us all along. It's called St. Austin Catholic Church. So, and with that also, they came into the picture a nun who was living around. So by the time that life was just passing, life was passing on. Also, the health of my mom started deteriorating, but no one could tell what it was. And she passed on. But I remember when, with the vivid visions that I've had and memories that I keep having in terms of my past, is more like she entrusted us to the care of Sister Martin. This is a Catholic nun who she believed, instead of us going to our relatives, it's not like we didn't have relatives where she could leave us. We had relatives, and we had our home, so to say. It's not like she was brought up in an unstable, I can stay kind of life where she did have anything. She had it, but she had to move from that because of the toxicity of the world, I can call it that, and it happens everywhere. So she made a choice. This was a choice that she had to make. Seek refuge, let my children grow up in a place where their life is not endangered. Sister Martin, she had started this school. It was a school, but it should also take in those children who either their parents were underprivileged, they could not pay maybe their fees, or they didn't have enough or anything, but also she would take in children who are orphans and everything. So she left us at the care of Sister Martin. So my mama passed on. When she passed on, that's when it was identified, or maybe they knew it. I don't have the memories of that. Maybe they knew it, but how for me I remember is more of like that's when the sister, like mentioned, she passed on because she was HIV. She had HIV and AIDS. It became a struggle living in the orphanage, like every child. But I believe that was the best decision she was to make, because looking at what she had left behind that changed her situation from Uganda to Kenya. It was the best that she could do, like the best that she could do. So this orphanage, it was more of an orphanage. It was a school. It was a public school. It was, yeah. So there was someone, now just a little bit of another person's story that I came to learn later on, telling me back then that even people who are considered HIV, that they had AIDS, they would not be, some of them would be buried in parts instead, because it was just considered like it's the disgrace. I never saw it that way, but I was just hearing from her testimony. So she was more mature than me. So when I kind of like looked at it, I'm like, oh, and what I could just imagine what my mama was experienced, So in that school orphanage, I think it was more of the bond that now my mama is gone, so we have to take care of each other. Now let me say I was being taken care of because I was the small one. And but time couldn't allow that. And the situation at hand could not allow the bond to continue that way. And that was because of my health. Now the sister realized that I needed special attention, which she could not offer because this was a large orphanage and school that had a lot of children. So she couldn't center the fact that, like if you're HIV positive, there's certain treatment and attention you need to be given even back then, because even in terms of drugs and all aspects, because now I started falling ill. I was getting ill a lot and they wouldn't understand. So it happened. I don't call it coincidence. I call it God was already preparing a way. This sister now knew another priest who was planning to start an orphanage for children who are HIV, but he hadn't started it yet. He was planning to start. So you see how God was aligning even my mama coming here, me being born here, and then her leaving us under the care of this sister, and then this sister knowing this priest, because even before, it was like God was aligning my path. So the Sister Martin, she's called Sister Martin. Now she called my siblings, and then she was like, now we need to take Angeline to another place. Yeah, I remember vividly remember how my brothers, like they were like, no, so like it was like you're breaking us off, and that period while I was taken away from them, I was transported away from, I can say I was transported because actually it was a transport. They were taken to a field trip, it was a school trip, and I was taken away. Like the children, the students were going to a school trip, and then I was taken away, and that's how I landed in Father D'Agostino's care. Now he was the one who founded Nyumbani Children's Home. Now, Nyumbani Children's Home happened to be the first children's home that was taking care of HIV positive children. So I ended up being the first one. And eventually other kids now started coming. It was just, it wasn't even like home. I wouldn't call it an orphanage, but it was in Westlands. And it was more of like, it's just the way you can rent a house. So like it was just a house. So that shows you the special attention that we really required. And life continued in an orphanage. And also now there were other elements whereby now when the kids started, more kids started coming in, he had to expand. So he did a partnership with other missionaries now who are called the Kotolengo community. So we moved from Westlands now to Karen. So in one way or the other, is that now I became a firstborn also Kotolengo community. And the partnership ended up breaking, unfortunately, between the two, the Father D'Agostino as well as the missionary, other missionaries, Kotolengo missionaries. I can't tell you why, but we knew that he had to go and we had to be left behind. So how it came to that decision, because I was thinking to myself later, like, why didn't he go with us? Why didn't he go with me? Because he came with me, so why didn't he go with me? But it's how God works. It's the way he aligns paths. And so I was now the firstborn of Kotolengo Children's Home. And Father Doug went and now started Nyumbani Children's Home. My life at the orphanage had a lot of lessons and moments that made me and have made me to who I am at this particular moment. And so we went to school, but as we in the first stages, we actually were just cocooned in the environment of our own environment of the orphanage. So we went to school inside there, and later on, we also went to school outside. So there were good moments. So these were people at the orphanage taking good care of us. I cannot say that for sure. Most definitely, I cannot say that our orphanage was struggling. You know that there are those orphanages that are in dire situation, like even getting meals and even clothes. It's our orphanage, to say the truth, was privileged. But the only thing we weren't privileged in is our health. But we didn't know that. We didn't know that at the moment. So it was more of like the comfortability we felt, we felt, okay, we knew we were orphans. Our parents died on, there are those ones who their parents were still alive. But would say either that we are in the orphanage because our parents died, or our parents are, I can call it underprivileged. They cannot take care of us, so they've put us here so that these missionaries can take care of us, take us to school, everything. One thing I remember in that orphanage, the father in charge is he has this love of just helping people. So there'll be women who are coming at the gate, and I believe even now that they just go, women coming, and he would help them. Women, men, like people will come at the gate just looking for attention. But I remember this time is they were like, okay, also us, we want to help. But now, like, we want to help. So we gathered, but this it was a funny incident. So we took some of the clothes that we felt that the sisters were saying this is what we should wear and this is not what we should wear. So we took the clothes that we felt we can give away and took them at the gate to these women who would come with their children to be helped. So it created a sense of what he was doing actually has really impacted me as well in life. And you find that the care and the service, like, it's not just to us, like it's extending even to, and it made us also get to know it's not just us who need help. Because at times we would feel like, why is it only us needing help? But it extended to the point that a human being can also help another human being. The home was really privileged. We had good food, we had good clothes, we'd go for outings and everything, But what we were not privileged in is our health. Our health was in dire situation, and so many other children kept on dying and dying and dying. But we would think it's more of like they are sick, the normal, like anyone can get sick and die. So you be told, oh, they were sick, they've died. So you who are still living, you think, oh, I'm not sick then. So if I become sick, it may probably are there, but I make sure that I'm not sick. So that was the privilege that we didn't have in terms of our health. But like I said, we didn't know it by then. So as these children kept on dying, by then they were dying and they were being buried in the compound. And later on, like now, they started being buried in Nanata. So at times we would go, the compound was big. This was a big compound. So we would go, like, like someone has died, you'd go to their grave and just boats around it and, being kids and just remembering the memories of this, it was, but it was an alarming rate in terms of how kids were dying. We got used to it. At first we would cry when someone died, but it became so frequent that me personally, it reached a point now tears were not coming because it was like, it's not something normal. So there was this place that was called the sick bay. So whenever you hear someone has been taken to sick bay, they're like, either they will come out or most probably they will not come out. So we'll find, if you find someone has been, there's a figure that has been covered with a white sheet, someone has left us. So that was our life in terms of the orphanage. But that was not just our life. Also, our life was full of memories and having that company of others. And I can say it's an extended family because it's from the staff who we called mothers, the sisters, the priests, the brothers. It was an extended family. So we got to learn and appreciate every moment, as well as the guests who would come and visit and leave things and souvenirs and all that. It was really a moment of, when you think about it, it structured the attitude of serving. Like everyone was serving, like we would also serve, like in terms of, we had duties. You find like you're the one who's to go to the young children and feed the young children, so that life, and I can say it has molded me to who I am, and now what I just love doing, the service aspect. But if I can take you a little bit back now, when we went to primary, at first glances, it was okay, it was good. But now it started becoming peculiar to people when they're thinking, why are you being brought by sisters? Why are you coming with a large van? So you're coming from an orphanage. Okay, so orphanage, okay. But then now in primary also, like rumors started spreading, like you're coming from an orphanage of HIV people. So there was stigma, but in hidden form, if you get what I mean. They don't want to show that they're stigmatizing, but you can tell. So we were really trying to blend in. It's now very astonishing because, if you're stigmatized and you know why, that is, you definitely, like, you're like, oh yeah, you have a reason. But if you're like, you're seeing people are sidelining you and you don't know why, and we kind of like builds and builds and builds. But me being very curious, I'm a curious kind of, but and very observant. It made me look all the outings that we were being taken when the visitors were coming. It made me analyze, okay, so why are they looking at us this way? Why are they feeling like, let me say, I can call it the woye factor, when you can tell when someone is having that look, woye look. Why are they, so I definitely say there has to be a story here. There's a story behind, and the only way I can get to find that story behind us being here is me getting into our files. Get to understand the file of each child. Why are they here? How I came up with that, I don't know. I just was like, I have to, because it was really getting weird in terms of in the school. You find like people are like, but you're wondering what is different with me. So I managed to, every Wednesday, I can remember this because that's when we used to eat chips. It was a special day, like chips, Wednesday or Saturday. The lady, we called her mothers, but who would weigh us. So we had it was like a weighing day. You weighed your weight, and then it's indicated in your file. Terms of, I came to find out later that it was in terms of also monitoring how your health is progressing. She would ask me, Angeline, come and help me. Give me the file of this. Give me the file of this. So I would go. So I saw this is the huge opportunity. Now, as I am giving her the file, she's indicating the weight. I am perusing the file, perusing each and every person's file. Now, I kept seeing very constant figures. The other things I could not read because it's the doctor's handwriting, prescriptions and everything. But for the first files these days, there's like a sheet that shows HIV. I didn't know what it was, but I saw it in all files. That was the only thing I saw in all files. And other people's files were so big. especially mine, and others were very slim. So I was like, okay, so why? So when I did that the first time, I left with so many questions, but I couldn't ask the sisters. I couldn't ask even the staff, because probably they definitely know they've been nosy and so I decided to go ask my friends in school. And a friend in school there was this group of other children coming from an orphanage. So we could relate, because they're also coming from another orphanage. But them, they were not coming from an HIV positive orphanage. So I went to ask her, do you know anything about HIV? I saw it somewhere. And she looked at me and she was like, you don't know? I'm like, I don't know. But you see, now I was digging tons of research, again, just to understand. So she said to me that this is a, how she said in this word, people who are like that, you shouldn't get close to them. I'm like, why? Like, yeah, because what they have is killing, like she was also in primary, so it's killing. That's the best maybe she knew about it. So I was like, what? Okay. So I continued doing my research, and eventually now I knew what HIV was all about. But I was the only one who knew. So I didn't even share with the other kids. So I also got to understand why my file was quite huge and other people's files were very slim. It's because my file being so huge, it's like I had a lot of doctor's appointments and my health was actually the weakest. My CD4 count was the weakest. Well, those are just the trying moments of our health that I just wanted to make it clear so that you can get to understand the privilege that we really didn't have, but we didn't know. So life continued. We went to high school. We kind of created, because now the stigma that we experienced in primary, we were like, okay, so if we go to high school, we have to make up a story. We don't want to be stigmatized again. We don't want to relive that situation. So we created a story just to see how we can blend in. Why we are being brought up by nuns, it's because those nuns are actually our aunts who decided to become sisters, just bringing up as much of the lies so that we can really have that comfortability of saying we are living a normal life. By then, by the time I was in high school, we already knew, like now, the sisters had now told us why we are in the orphanage. One of the most challenges is not accepting our truth, because remember, we had to lie to fit in. But it grew exhausting for me. It grew exhausting. I was like, no. But apart from it, also, there were elements of the betrayal in terms of, they lie. When you lie, it's because I'm using the lie will catch up with you. Either if you're lying together, there's someone who will actually betray you. So that is what happened. Like, since I was the weakest and I was falling ill quite a lot, even in high school. So when I wasn't in school, this other lady, I call her my sister, because we were in the same orphanage. So she disclosed now, she twisted the lie now to her benefit now. She is actually living in an orphanage. She's the one who's HIV positive. Me, I'm not, and because you wouldn't tell because she was healthy, she was looking so good and everything. So the betrayal happened. I went back to school, and that was my breakthrough, I would call it. That was the biggest gift that God gave me for that betrayal to happen. I was like, I'm no longer, because I now started seeing people acting differently. I experienced it already in primary, so I knew, I could tell when people are treating me differently. I could tell what is cooking. I asked her, she denied it, but I knew there's something. But I just told myself, I'm no longer living a pretense life. I will live my life to who God has. If it's a weak life, fine, well and good. Let me maximize in it, in that which I have. If I have few days, well and good. Let me maximize the opportunities that come, well and good. If it's one or two, now it was just me and my life. I'm not focusing on any other person. And that's now brought me to the beauty of really knowing that we should live our life for what it is. We should embrace our life, our stories, no matter what. Because it also opens up opportunity. And you know, the funny thing about it is that when I decided to do that, now the other students started warming up to me. Now I came to find out the betrayal that happened in Form 2 when I was finishing Form 4. To see how God like carried me, because I decided, and then God was like, now let me also give you the strength. And I came now to find it later in Form 3. And this is someone who decided to speak. She was like, Angeline, some people are so good with you, you're laughing a lot with them, but they're the ones who spread this and this about you. I say to myself, I will not tell the lady, my sister, I will not tell her, the one now who exposed me, I will not tell her I know. After her Form 4, I was a year ahead of her. After her Form 4, she passed on. She passed on with cancer. So she passed not knowing that I know. I didn't act weird to her because I said, you remember when I said, like, I decided, say, well, God, I'm living my life. I think it was also God giving me the strength that even when that time came that I knew the truth, I would not be indifferent to or have vengeance or anything. So she passed, and I always say it was the greatest gift she left me. Accepting myself. Accept your truth, no matter how it is. Pretense will only drown you, and it will make you live a life that is not yours. And if you're living a life that is not yours, there's a lot of friction, because with that, you're going nowhere. So when I decided that I'm living my truth, I won't tell you it happened just like this, because everything is one step at a time. So there are people I will be like, okay, I don't want to tell them, but but these people will be like, I'll tell them. So I finished my Form 4, and when I finished my Form 4, now I was discharged from the orphanage. But the way it was done, it wasn't really good. Despite them knowing that my sister was not in a position to really like take care of me, they were like, you're going home. They put me in a van, they packed my suitcases and they took me home. But what I believe also, this is what I believe, because the toxicity I was saying that I was going through in the orphanage, me being the person who was like, you just don't tell me this, and I questioned a lot, and at times that didn't really come well with some of the nuns. Others were okay, they were good. There's one who was actually very encouraging. It was like, oh, when you party I'm a bomb sour, like. But there are those who feel like it's like you're demeaning them. So I was being it reached a point I was being accused of things that, like I haven't even done. And is this name they used to one of the sisters, I think, and it reflected even to the other sisters. They would call me a ringleader. Like, I'm the one guiding the children here. I'm the one guiding the. When they're calling you ringleader, they're not calling you ringleader in terms of like good things. The ringleader in terms of you're the one. So whenever a child would do something wrong, Angeline is the one that was told. So it was very toxic for me, actually, that period when I was growing up. When I was discharged, I felt that there were politics under this. It was not to say the government has brought this element when you're this age, you have to be. That will be right. That may have been right. But the way they did it, and it's like, even how they promised to take me to university if I passed, it didn't come to fruition, I can say. It was just empty words. So I was so agitated, because not even staying there, because to say the truth, if I was given an option to leave there and I had somewhere else to go out of that toxicity, I would. But no, because I knew also my sister cannot take me to university. She was also trying to figure out her life as well. So I didn't want to be a burden. Let me say that. I didn't want to be a burden, but at the same time, I felt that there's life for me. There's life for me. There's life. Just this feeling that there's something good for me. And I have to achieve it. So when they dropped me at my sister's place, I had a lot of anger, but I stayed with my sister for a while. And then someday, I just decided I'm taking my bags. I'm going. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going. I'm leaving my sister's place. Also, it's also a sentiment of we were not really getting along with my sister that much, So I was like, but what made me leave my sister's place is that I felt I have to take charge of my own life. Now, these people are not taking me to university, or despite the fact they promised me if I pass, they'll take me. And now I just come and settle here not knowing what my life is all about. No. I took my bags. One morning, I just woke up. By then I was going for CPA. I was doing CPA. So my sister thought I'm just going to do the classes. I took my bags and went. And every time when I was reading the Bible back then, I was questioning, how does Abraham just pick its things that we were being told, go, and you don't know where you're going? That period is where I felt like an Abraham case, like a descendant of Abraham. I didn't know where I'm going, but I knew I don't have to stay. I will not stay there. And I will not let what they have decided, not paying for my university, be what will define my life. Pick my bags, went. Now, when I reached town, that's when I realized, where am I going? No, where am I going? So there's this lady a staff who used to work at the orphanage. Every time she would ask me, call me, and tell me, when are you going to tembelea Lini? Come and visit, not the orphanage now, her. So I called her number. I told her, I'm coming to visit you. I didn't tell her I'm escaping. I'm coming to visit you. So I went, she welcomed me, and then now I told her the real situation. Now she was like, Angeline, you cannot really stay here as much. Because when the sisters find out I'm hosting you, I can get into trouble. Now, because I also didn't want her to lose her job because of me, I told her tomorrow I'm going to to the office, the children rights something, the children rights, just to see how I can find a solution. My goal was I have to see how I'm getting to university. So I went to this office. I think it was at there's a little thing that was called Sianda House or something. And there were some government offices there. And went to this office. I found this lady. I narrated my story. So she told me, so what do you want? Yes, she was very direct. And now I just told her, okay, first of all, I want a place to stay, because I don't have a place to stay at the moment. And, but ultimately, I want to go to school. I want to go to university. And I just want to make life for myself. So, and also because I was so vengeful, because of what the sisters had done, I was like, and also I want to make the government, because they are saying it's the government, but I don't know if it's the government. I want the government to know what, if they're the ones who directed the sisters of the home to discharge me in this way without, it is not making sense. So she was like, you'll need a lawyer. I'm so confident I'll be my own lawyer. I don't know where all this confidence will come. I'll be like, I'll be my own lawyer. So she was like, okay, now she directed me to another office at State House Road. There's an office, State House Road. There's an office, also a government office that deals with something to do with children and everything. And then I was directed back to her. Now, when I reached her office, it was almost going to 5 o'clock. So she was like, no, the lady you've been directed to, she's not coming to. I told her, I'm not leaving this office until I'm given service. So that's what you're supposed to do. I cannot be pushed here and there. You've directed me there, they're directing me back to you. So you have to give me service. You call her and let her know. So I think she saw my situation was really, so, and I told her, but the way you also let her know I have nowhere to go. Apparently, she was looking for someone to stay with her child. Let's say, Ika maid, She's looking for a maid to stay with her child whenever she's coming to work, because now she would drop her kid to her brother and then come to work. So she told me, can you work? I said, yes, I can. Can you do anything? I said, yes, I can. So she said, I can go work for her. So in that aspect, we've solved the aspect of being a place to stay. And going to school will come later. Now, the other solution, but this is also the interesting part, she still got another maid. So I wasn't doing as much as I was taken as a maid, I wasn't doing the maid. I was helping around and everything, but it was like God was solving one part and then stay with her, and then I'll open another part. So while I was staying with her, I bumped into another gentleman now who helped me in finding another gentleman. That gentleman was employed by Father D'Agostino. You remember now for the D'Agostino who we started with? And he was part of the children's home. So I knew him. So I ended up now going to university. Now my path began forging up. But even going to university, I remember when now the news was like, I've been called. Now I was connected to him. Then after being connected to him, my name appears in the papers. You remember when, if you've been called by a public university, your name would appear in the papers. So he's like, Angeline, I can see your name in the papers. It's funny, he's the only one I got a call from that who saw my name in the papers. Then he's like, just go. I'm like, okay, so who's going to pay my fee? Or when the government says is supporting half of it, and the other half will figure it out. So slowly by slowly, things forged in slowly by slowly. And that is how my life has forged in, getting to realize no matter the small step you make in life, embrace it. It is adding up to something. The struggles, the seasons will come. Good times, bad times, amazing times, they're inevitable. They will come. But what is it? What is the question that you should be asking yourself during these seasons? Because I had now grown tired of asking myself why. Like I'm not being. I'll not be. I will not throw a pity party for myself, and I don't expect anyone to throw it for me. I have to forge my path as I am being aligned with what God has for me. As I was now learning to grow out of the orphanage, now I'm learning life out of the orphanage, and I'm realizing also you're also growing to be a lady and all the aspects of life. I have enclosed my mind in a way that I'm not going to be distracted by any other thing or whatever people are saying, or let's say if a boy would ask me for a relationship, I'm like, no, I'm not interested. I just built a wall. Like I really built a huge wall. First and foremost, also because I would hear, when I was in high school, I would hear stories of how, and even out, or when it came out, I would hear of how people who were HIV positive, they would, we call it, infect others intentionally. In terms of, like, let's say, you've realized you're HIV positive, and that by then it's like Mr. Kufa peke yangu. So I have to bring out so when I'd hear those stories, I would be like, how sickening is this? So I looked at my situation, and then I was like, if I am HIV positive, I wouldn't want to be part of those people who are trailing people in terms of stuck for peke yangu. So I was like, then I won't get into a relationship, because I didn't understand much of, as much as I knew, there were all these rumors going. So by my age, I was just growing out of my naivety of, like the orphanage, everything was enclosed. We didn't have the full information. Now I'm transitioning into life and getting to hear all these stories. You're wondering what is true, what is not, and why would someone want to do this, and what are the measures that people can take, So I was like, I'm not getting in a relationship. I will be focused in my life. My focus is my life, and my life. Now, just to give you also a trail back of why I was so focused in terms of it, just to take you back a little bit, is because of my brother. It's called Davis Mafabi. He really, if there's a person who impacted my life and affirmed my life, it was my brother. He would really, when I was young, even when I was visiting, he would be like, Angeline, you're going to be great. You're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do. Like, he would really affirm me, even to his friends when I'm not around. Even though I haven't met the friends. So when I'd meet the friends, they'll be like, oh, you're at the Angeline. Oh, he says you do this, you do this. I'm like, he believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. I didn't see the reason of believing in myself. Now, my brother, Pastor, he was murdered while I was doing my Form 4. I didn't know about it then, because I wasn't told, because I was so close to my brother. I wasn't told until now I finished my Form 4. And so he was already buried. Like before he died, he had sent me a success card as well. So when I'm coming out of this life, I'm with the orphanage. Remember me saying that I was looking at my sister's place now where the sisters had dropped me, and I'm thinking, is my life ending up to this? No, there has to be that which my brother was always affirming me. Like, he built that seed. He put that seed. No matter how much the toxicity was happening in the orphanage, I needed a little seed of hope. Now that was what my brother, and I never told him. I was not the kind of like sharing all my burdens with what I'm going through in the orphanage with him. If we're with him, we're sharing good times, you're going out and everything. So that affirmation, that vision he had of me is what was driving me. So even me deciding I'm going to focus on that and not focus on all this other aspect, what other people are doing, what other girls are doing, it was attributed to that which my brother saw in me. So in terms of really relationships and everything, I didn't really venture in. I saw them as distractions. I saw them as distraction. If I see something is heading somewhere, I'm like, no, I can't. We cannot go. So I went to university. I was able to get in. I relaxed a little bit and I got to a relationship, but I was like, before it could get into something serious, I was like, I break it off. Like, I break it off. Why? Because now it was more of like telling you the journey of opening up was not immediate. It was more of like just one step at a time. So there are people who I would meet and I'll be like, okay, I'll tell this one, and then this one I would not tell, because also you cannot just go telling everyone. Oh yeah, some relationships I broken off, and I'll just tell the guy, it's for your own good. It's for your. It's really. It sounds heartless, but it's more of like me saying, I don't want to hurt you. Because remember that mentality I had, like people are just getting into this relationship because they want to infect the other person. I don't have a heart to do that. And the good thing about what God did, despite the struggles and the hurt and the pain and the toxicity, I became more, and also it has attributed to who I am. I'm more of the person who stands up for what is just and wouldn't want to see another person hurt because of what I've gone through. So it made me feel like I cannot hurt another person. So probably I was hurting them emotionally. So but it was more of like, I don't want to hurt the viewers. If I am to die, I don't want you to die because I infected you. I want to be in a place whereby, yes, we can remain friends, but it cannot do a relationship. Now, I remember there was this guy in university. He was ahead of me, and he was like, Angeline, I think we can be able to build something. So he was so serious about it. But I remember there's a time even when my nephew was being just like celebrating after circumcision and everything. He came to my sister's place and he was so serious, like in terms of, but I just told him, can you think about it? And then I was like, I cannot. Now, later on in life, now when also professionally I grew, and also in terms of maturity, now I got to this relationship, and it was now the first relationship that it was terminated. It was terminated. That I'm not the one who terminated. Let me say that. But it was not terminated because they found out I was positive. It was more of like other reasons, like you know, the way you can be so close with someone, but you can confuse friendship with a relationship. It's like you know, those people that can go MIA on you, they've gone silent. They've gone completely silent. They've disappeared. MIA completely. So you text them or anything, they don't reply, everything. So I was like, it's not really working. And there's like, yeah, it's not really working. So I got to also know and understand that life has a lot of lessons. At times you contribute to other people's heart, and other people contribute to your heart. But what I've realized about life is never lead with a wound. Never lead with a wound. And when I say never lead with a wound, it's not just about leadership with other people. It's also leading yourself, because the way you are today will be different with tomorrow. Like you'll be growing, you'd want to grow better than today, right? Tomorrow. So when you're living this life, lead in a place whereby there's healing in you, because that attributes so much in terms of also the decisions that you're to make. I was looking at my aspect, like when I broke in the relationship with other people, I was looking at the aspect of, I don't want to hurt them in this way, health-wise. I was not even probably, I was hurting them emotionally, right? So it's because of the wound that I had, the wound of that stigma, and what people would, and all the notions that was spoken, like, we know this and this is what people do, and this is what people do. So it gave me time to also grow, and also to be able to appreciate each and every person's journey is different than yours. So when you're looking at people's journey, do not look it at your set of lens. You know, like, try and come out of your lens of life, because you'll judge them in a way that you are reacting rather than responding to life. You're reacting to life, and that takes you nowhere. So it's more of like, get to understand each and every person you rub a shoulder with is also a divine being, you know, is also a divine being. So get to move in this life and progress in this life, not at a place of a wound. Get healed. If you need to set, there are measures you'll take. If you need to set boundaries and everything, those are actual steps to take, but also be in a place whereby you're able to know, I cannot take this, or I can take this, and this is why. Not because I'm reacting now, because I've measured why and why. Now I can know, like, this is the direction, so that I can be able to walk in a straight path. You get to know your healing when you're viewing something and you look at how you viewed it before, be like, this is not how it used to be. So, when it comes to things like relationships, you know, like having relationship, not only in terms of like a couple relationship, but even in friends relationship. Now, because now, back then I was so clouded with the I can call them rumors, because as much there was some truth out of it, you know, you'd hear, oh yes, hakuna, there's no cure, or you can kill those people who are being found, this, you know, like there's just so many theories that ended up really toxicating also my mindset in terms of cloud making. And that's why I would break relationships and avoid getting into relationship, build this wall, not allowing myself to be vulnerable, you know, like vulnerable in a state. But as I was outside, you remember me mentioning how much I'm a very curious person, very observant. So I'll observe, and in my observation, I'll do with my curiosity, I'll try and see and study more about this. So being out here, and when I was going to clinics, I was now going to a clinic outside the orphanage to take my drugs. Because now the orphanage was not the one providing the drugs. Remember, I was terminated. So, but they had connected me to this clinic where I would be going for drugs. So whenever I'm going for clinics, I'd ask those questions. I would ask the doctors questions. So if someone is infected, if someone is positive and someone else is not, how do you maintain a relationship? They would advise on all these things, if both of you are positive, there's this measure you can do, like there are drugs that you can take so that the virus that you both have does not multiply, right? And now later on in years also, you can also be positive and the other person is negative. And you can be in a relationship and they can remain negative and you are positive. Because also there'll be drugs that they'll be given, so they take, right? So my mindset and perspective now about everything now was changing, because now I'm learning with all the theories I had, I was like, because I don't want to hurt anyone. And I was like, no, I'm getting the right information, right? So I was like, okay, if I'm to get into a relationship, it's someone who knows who I am, and I definitely will try and figure out things later, right? But I won't say like I got in another relationship, but I hadn't told the guy yet. I hadn't told it, but it didn't reach to that point whereby it will lead to sexual or anything. So I was like, we cannot go through that until I'm able to disclose to him. So we also ended it. But now I'm in a place whereby I'm very in a relationship, but it's more of like, through this journey, what I've realized is it's not even about the other person knowing or not knowing either you're HIV positive or you're not. It's more of like, what is the value tag you have on yourself? That is what matters. I broke down the wall of Jericho. Let me call it the wall of Jericho. That Jericho I had built, I broke down the wall of Jericho in terms of like all those standards I put in terms of like measuring myself with the systems, what other people think or what I think, by getting to know that value I have is worth it. And if someone is to come into my life, whether I'm HIV positive or not, if it's true love, it will stay. That is for sure. Period. That is for sure. If it's not, then it won't. As much as you have, because each and every person has value. Each and every person has purpose. But the question is, are you willing to live up to your value, or are you willing to live down to your value? Now that is up to you. It's you to get to choose. Am I living up to that value, that value that I believe, or are you living down? And if you measure your value in terms of materials, will come and go. They will deplete, right? People, positions, the hierarchy of the status in life, the wealth, they will go. Well, what is constant? This is the God who spoke you into existence, even before even your parents thought you were coming. He spoke you into existence. In one way or the other, I felt that I need to control me building the walls and everything. It was more of like, I need to control my life, like, because so many people have hurt me. I am not going to let people hurt me. Now I'm the one feeling that it's upon me to take my own life seriously. So this is what this is the funny thing. Now I got to my name Angeline, like Angeline means angel, right? We never really knew the meaning of it, but now I formed a meaning for my name because of the situation I went through. I was like, so Nyonyo, they call it, it's the Nyonyo of the whip, right? And that whip never breaks, right? So I was like, you will bend me, but you will not break me. Like that, because I'm not the violent kind of person, but you will bend me, but you will not break me. But where it was coming from, even me creating that name, and it's still, that is what I tell people, that's what my name means, like created that meaning for myself. Life may may bend me, but it will not break me. So my name defines me. I'm an angel, and situations will come and people will hurt me, but they are bending me, but they will not break me. I chose it. I was like, no, that is what my name means. And Nambi, coincidentally, it's a Ugandan name that means, the way the element of, let's say in the Kikuyu, the origin of the Kikuyus, there was the Chambi or some Mombi, or now in Uganda, is the god who had this daughter was called Nambi. So I looked at my name and I was like, now this is what stands for. I'm an angel. They can bend me, but they cannot break me, Nyawinyo. And then Nambi is like, I'm sort of the Most High. But when it was coming, where it was coming from, it was coming more of like an egocentric thing, like I can do this. I don't need anyone. And that's why the wall, call it the wall of Jericho, was just building. But I realized it's more of like I'm just building up my ego, like the ego of I don't need anyone, I can do it by myself. Because it's more of like with ego, you become so proudful and pride, thinking it's you, it's your effort. Whether you make it, it's your own effort. You don't make it, it's not, it's also you didn't do good, so it ends up in depression and all that. So I was like, no, I'm not evicting my God out anymore. I'm not living in a place of hurt and wound. So I have to live up to those names that I am called, the name that God has called me. And not, the heart will come, yes, they may bend me, but they will not break me. But how am I looking at it? The perspective of it, is it my own effort or is it God who's enabling me? And then now that's when you get to realize with the value, your value, you living up to your value or down to your value is not based on what you can do or what you cannot do. It's based on the totality of, are you able to surrender in life and know that there's a person who's in charge, no, there's a God who's in charge of your life. It makes you realize that I don't have to die to experience God's kingdom. The kingdom of God is here. So in whatever I do, how I carry myself, how I embrace even the situation, either good times, bad times, how I'm able to reflect also to others is what is bringing that kingdom. You're not just living for heaven. Heaven is also here. Heaven is also here. When we were at the orphanage, there was this element, like when so many children would die, it would be like, there was this statement that some of the older people would make, sisters, and some of the sisters who are kind of a little bit toxic, they would say, wale wazuri ndo wanakufa, wale wafaya wanavaki. But so to other kids, it made them feel like question yourself, but this is what I used to tell them. Kama umebaki na we ni mbaya. Na yesi bado anaishi. So you're in the you're in the you are in proper companionism. That's a proper companion. But why I'm saying this is when you base your value on other people, or when you base your value in situations or positions or hearts and everything, you allow so many things what other people say define you. Like those kids were like, okay, so meaning, so self-esteem will drop a little bit. So when they come to tell me, I'm like, all right. No, so I would like, baby, no, hakuna, nothing like that. There's nothing like that. If you're leaving, and if they're leaving, how old are they? How old are you? How old are they? So that means, they have done a lot of wrongs than you. So continue living. Don't demean yourself to fit in other people's category. But that's mostly what brought me into trouble, like speaking my mind. But I felt I needed to. Remember, like how my brother was always affirming me. I'm like, no, you cannot downplay people. You cannot mess around with people's lives by telling us, okay, your parents made a mistake, or they sinned, that's why you're positive. You can, but I won't allow it to define me, because at times you cannot control what other people say or think about you. You cannot control the situation, but what you can control is what you do without which they have said or the situation has made you. When I came to realize that my life is not determined or defined by any other person or by situation, or whether I have money or not, whether I know people, whether just like we're knowing people, because I had to fight my way in all that I have been able to achieve. I had to fight my way in it. It didn't come easy. But I wouldn't even call it fighting my way in. It's more of like believing my way in. Like I remember there was this time I think that I was applying for a loan, right? And some of these not the banks, this other organizations that normally you can save with them. It's kind of like a circle, right? And I had saved with them, and then now I wanted a loan, but they kept taking me back and forth. Why I wanted the loan is I wanted now to expand. While I was in university, God made just a way, like I made a card for someone, and they were like, they sent it to someone. That's someone who was sent to, because I left my contacts there. He'll be like, Angeline, I want you to make my card for my wedding. I'm like, no, I cannot. So, because I don't have the funds, or because I felt like, no, I cannot do it. Like the God is handing you an opportunity. I'm like, no, I can't, because I had, as I'm continuing to believe and value myself to that which I believe I'm valuable, it was still a journey. So there are things that I was still struggling with. So when this lady was like, okay, I tried finding her another person to do it. She was like, no, Angeline, if you're not the one doing it, I don't want it. This is a person I don't even know. So if you're not the one doing it, I don't want it. And that's how I even started my event business. So I was like, God, this is opportunity you've brought. Okay. So when I came out of university, I started saving and also asking some of my friends to give me some money, and then I would save it in a circle. So I wanted the loan. Now there's this this guy who came up and said, when I decided now let me go to their offices because they were not picking my calls. But like, ukiwa na mwanaume, if you have a man with you, you'll be able to get this loan very fast. I looked at him, I didn't say anything, but inside my heart, I was like, I'm getting the loan and I'm getting. So in short, he was saying, if you go out with me, I can be able to make that loan up, but this journey of my life had made me reach a point to say, I'm not compromising for anything or for anyone. I'm not going to compromise just my integrity or my principles just to get somewhere. I'm not going to compromise. People tell me it's not possible. I'll show them it is possible because of the God that I serve, not of my own ability. So I was like, I'm getting in and I'm getting the loan. I went in. I think he was a secretary. He was part of the administrator there. I went in and I stayed 4 hours, but I got the loan. And I came out and I showed him in the left. I didn't even say anything. I showed him in the left. So my point is, the value that we choose defines us. Will either lead us to a path that is wrong or a path that is right. And when I say wrong path, is not just spiritually, it's in terms of also a wrong path that you have deteriorated yourself just to compromise to get where you want to be. So I realized how many of us are living this lie, because this world will sell you all the illusions, like, you're not having sex before marriage. Oh, you're outdated. Or you're not bribing someone to get it. Oh, you're outdated. So at times you would feel, maybe you're the one who is in wrong. That which God had engraved in me in terms of the situations, the pain and everything. I realized that when I was, I would get an opportunity, I'll go volunteer in another orphanage and then I would talk about them. So I'll get another situation where I would just stop. And then realize the more I talked to different, even the other children in the orphanage where I was, I'll talk to them, and some of the sisters who are there now, I used to not, after me healing, after my university and everything, now I'll go back and visit them, the orphanage where I was. I would talk to these other kids. Now I realize the more I talk to other kids or other people, the more it is opening my mind also, and I'm healing, and I'm also seeing, I'm getting to appreciate that which God has done and is doing. When you're not in a position to speak out the challenge ways, or even to speak out that which God has done, it can either go out two ways. You can turn out to be so proudful, or you can turn out to be so depressed and mental health suffering, right? Now, in this place, I remember my brother, now the firstborn, when he had finished school, he finished high school, he had gone to university, had gone to USIU actually, and I was really aspiring. Even when I was at the orphanage, I was like, you take me, when I pass, you take me to USA. He was like a role model for me. So he finished university, he started working, he worked at the coast, then went to Uganda and worked. Then life happened. There are rumors that our relatives had a hand in it, because like his job just ended. He came back, and remember now the relatives in Uganda, because my brothers and my siblings, my other sibling, they know the people there, they know where we used to stay. So at times, even the cousins that we have and everything. So when he came back, his life was not really going very well. It was not going very well. And it's kind of like he felt like life has nothing more to offer. So he really struggled. I remember you remember me saying now they had all my situation and my circumstances engraved things that I love to do even without me knowing. So I just wanted to see even how I can help my brother. So I'll go to, whenever I would be in town, in Pale Audio, that notice board, they will post shirts and everything. I'll go right there and I'll be like, I'll go back to my brother and they'll be like, by then I was in university, and so I'll go a break after a university. You'll go and say, there's this job here, and just trying to see how I can help. Considering now, like I said, my other brother passed on. Now he's the only brother that I had, and now my sister. But it felt he tried. Things were not going well, and now also some other issues that he was going through ended up, I think he reached a point whereby he just gave up, and he committed suicide. But even before, I remember him calling me, and he was like, Angeline, how do you manage to be so strong? I never thought my brother viewed it that way. So even how God is working in us, we may not see, but other people will see. So he was like, how do you manage to be so strong? And it's like life has given you especially all the odds, but how do you manage to be so strong? And I remember the answer I gave him is like, it's not me, it's God. So he was in a place whereby he was feeling like apologizing that he's the firstborn, he should be the one taking care of us. I was told him, you don't have to feel bad. It's not your responsibility. And I believe that is what is happening when we measure ourselves with the standard of this world. When we measure ourselves in terms of what other people, the society, or what another person is thinking of me, we demean ourselves in that aspect. And let me say, thoughts will come to each and every person. The enemy will try and inflict all kinds of thoughts. You're a failure, you're everything. But I think when you are able to know who holds your life, really, like know and appreciate it, it all gives you like a motivation to wake up and continue. So then he gave me some advice of just, Angeline, don't be careful with people. Not everyone seems the way you seem. And that was my last conversation with my brother. And then a few days, I got to learn that he had passed on. So I was living in a different area and he was living in a different area. So I was called. But why am I saying this is because when we think the impossible in our lives and the trials and the scars and the pain or the standard or the systems, it's not always even just about the bad. Like even just following the whatever people think, you end up seeing, okay, then I'm not worth it, So what I can say is, usikubali kuuziwa woga. That's what I can say. And it's a phrase that probably goes along, but I view it in this way. Usikubali kuuziwa woga by the enemy. Because those are just lies. You have to stand with that which God has called you. That which God has called. Like, let's say, for example, if you can tell when you're going to the market and you don't want to buy, if you can tell that person, no, I'm not buying, right? Yeah, because it was not your plan to buy, but they sukuma you, oh, kuja ununue, or the conductors, they're the ones who are like, you are going to another route, but they're already like, trying to pant a gari, but I'm not boarding. So if you're not boarding, you can tell people that, or you can tell people, why not tell that enemy who's our main enemy? These other people are not your enemies. He uses situations and people. So you have to stand and switch on your GPS. The GPS is it's an acronym for me. I switch on my God positioning service. That which God has said I am. And how do I get to do that? Is by living out and reminding myself who He has called me to be, and that which He has called me. And I get to only know that if I involve myself with His word. Otherwise, you cannot know that which God has said you are. As much as He has said it, you have to remind yourself. So usikubali kuuziwa uoga with the life and the lies of the enemy, of systems. Do not. You're precious, you're loved, you are. And that's why I've shared this, because there's probably someone who's really struggling. You may not be HIV positive. You may not be, maybe you've lost your job, maybe you have everything, but still, kunele woga, because the enemy is very clever. He will attack me. He knows my weaknesses, he knows my strengths, so he will use them against me. He knows your weaknesses and your strengths, so he will not use the same tactic on me that he will use on you. He knows you. So if he knows you, then you should also make an effort to know who you are. Let it be determined on who your Father says you are. And that's it. That's the fight you get. The fight was won already. The victory was given, but are you living up to that which you were saying? You either live up to your value, or you live down to your value. When I was at the orphanage, because it was so toxic, the only person I would talk to about my feelings is my journal. I would journal. Now, as I was journaling and everything else, I realized now my journaling is really growing and growing and growing. So I saw this is becoming a book. And I remember my brother, Davis, who was always affirming me. There was this time I told him, you can write a book. But he was like, no, Angeline, I'm not writing a book. You'll be the one to write a book. By then I hadn't even told him anything about me journaling about my pay. So he was like, okay, you be the one to write the book. Affirming me. So when I realized my journal was really going to be a book, I also realized I'm including the names of my brothers and sisters in the orphanage, right? And so I told them, by the way, I'm writing a book and I'm including your names. And they're like, Angeline, don't write me in that book. I'm like, why? You don't want people to know I'm HIV positive. I was like, but they don't know you. But those who know me and know you, they will know. I was like, okay. So this is what I decided. I will continue writing. So I told them, I'll write, but in the name of your name, I'll put a fictional name. If you're called Mary, I'll put another name. And they were like, okay. I see what even made them say that is still the insecurity they still had in terms of the stigma that was going on. And I continued writing. But now when I was discharged, I remember I started writing my journal and I was in Form 2. So as I continued writing, in Form 4, after the death of my brother and me being discharged out of the orphanage, when I went back to my diary, I saw it was just was just sorrowful. It doesn't deny the fact that things happened, the pain happened, the betrayal or but also good times happened. So I came to realize that all these areas, the constant thing, things change, but the constant thing is that God always brought me out. So I was like, now I need to change the tone of the book. Journaling was like emotional doctor for me. When the toxicity of the orphanage was really crushing me and everything else that was happening in my life was crashing, I would note it down. It was the only friend I had. So one thing I made, I was like, I'm not going to give them, no matter how much I feel broken, I'm not going to give them the pleasure of seeing me cry. And that explains why the walls I had, like I had built so many walls in my life in terms of not allowing anyone to tamper with me. But it started at that point, like, I'm not going to give a pleasure of someone seeing my tears to see that they have broken me. So how would I try to manage myself emotionally? I would journal. I would write and write and write. So when I realized that my journaling is growing and growing and growing, I was like, and it involved also the experiences of even the other kids in the orphanage. I would include them also because I was also learning from them, one or the other. I was like, okay, let me tell them I'm also including them in my book. Like I told them I'm writing this book, and I've included you. So they were like, Angeline, don't include me in that book. Like, why? I'm like, I don't want people outside to know that I am HIV positive. I was like, but they don't even know you. But you see, they hadn't come to the place where I had come. I was willing to let people know because now I was in my journey and process of letting myself, I am living my life whether people know it or not, right? But they were not there, and I respected it because it was not my decision to force them to accept who they are. So I told them, I will include your name, I will include your character, but I will not include your name. And they were like, okay, sawa. So I continued journaling. I would write my experiences, and their experiences that also taught me in one way or the other. Now, you remember I changed the names of the other kids, but I left my name because I was okay with people knowing who I am because it was something I decided. Now, when my brother passed on, now I changed the character of the book of me. I changed my name to my niece's name. My niece's, the daughter of my brother. When he died, when he was killed, that's when also my niece was being born. So he never got to even see my niece. So I changed now the main character in honor of my brother to the name of my niece. And also now when life continued, I looked at my book and I realized now in all this aspect, because it was all about pain, writing. It's like when you are going for counseling or something, you're like removing all that is training you. But I was like, no. One thing that is constant in all this pain that ever since I've started is that there's someone who has been constant, who in one or the other has just made it possible. And that is God. So I changed the tone of the book from a pain aspect to more of a gratitude aspect. It was more of like, what am I choosing? What am I choosing to focus on? Am I going to focus on the pain? That doesn't mean the pain didn't happen, but was I able to come through it? Was there something I was able to learn from it? I was like, okay, now I'll focus. The tone, everything is more of like, now it's what God has done. The tone needs to change and not me, or what other people have done. Yes, they'll be part of the book, but now I have to change the aspect. It's like the way you can say thank you when you're grateful, it comes out very good. But when you say thank you out of arrogance, someone can tell you didn't mean it. So it's more in terms of that. So the book now transformed. I changed now the book completely in terms of the tone, and now it transformed from it being a memoir about myself and the pain and everything what I've gone through to a fictionalized, intentional memoir. My life, what I've gone through, what even others have gone through, but what do I choose to see is the goodness and the possibility even in the impossible. So that is what has attributed to the fact that me now writing and deciding now to bring now the book. Because whenever I would speak to people, they would want to know more, but I cannot be able to exhaust in one session or anything, everything that I've gone through. So I decided I'll write a book in terms of volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, like the diary of the possible in the impossible. That is more of like a subtitle because it will be in all volumes. Because remember when I said that you need to learn to ask yourself the right question in life. No matter the situation you're going through, it's more of like, don't ask yourself why you. You need to learn to ask, what is the lesson I am learning in this? So the lesson that I learned in my life, why I decided even to now make it a volume, is more of like, I have seen the possible in the impossible. Now the title of the book, the main title of the book is The Bitter, Better Truth That Breathes. My bitter and better seasons may not be your bitter, better seasons, but they are lessons that you need to learn. So your bitter, better truth, embrace the truth in your situation, no matter what it is, financial, emotional, physical. When you embrace the truth, no matter the situation, now you're able to breathe. You're able to move another step. You're able to take another step. You're able to even be hopeful for the next step in life. So that is the title of the book, and it will come in different volumes. But the volume, in terms of like the main category, is more of like seeing the possible in the impossible. And we need to learn to see that. So this book is about the rise. You will stumble. Yes, you will stumble. And even now, there's stumblings, there's stumbles I have made, and I'll continue making. But the thing is, do I choose to rise, and do I choose to ask myself the right question? What is the lesson I need to learn in this season? What is it that God wants me to learn? There are never challenging times. There are never bad times. That's what I've come to realize. But every situation is a pillar in terms of something that God is refining because of the next step that will come in life. The book is already out. You can get the book even when you Google The Bitter, Better Truth That Breathes. You can get it on Amazon. as well as there are other online stores that you can also get either as a ebook or a print. You can also get it in print. That is also, you can get it directly through me, and yeah, I'd prefer you get it directly through me, because also it's more of like me getting to know who is this person that is being impacted by this book, and I can get also to journey with you as a reader. And even as the other volume of the other books are coming, in attribute of us choosing to see the possible as Jesus in our impossible. So you can get it through the link that we will share through me. So get to understand that you have to be in an expectant mode, that seasons will come. And I'm not saying you won't feel the pain, or it won't be disappointing when there are challenging times, seasons, but when you put the right question in terms of what is the lesson I need to learn, how you embrace even those challenging times is what changes the whole perspective. So, and you can do it. You can be able to do it, but not by your strength, but by the strength that Jesus Christ gives you. You can be able to do it. So do not live down to your value. Live up to that value which you have been called to.